Morning, beloveds. Welcome to Unity. We are all about waking up. We are here to wake up our individual lives, our individual selves, and surrender enough to that awakening, that beingness, that we become an instrument for transformation and change for other people and for the world. So we are doing that in a vibration of love and inclusion and beauty. And so we welcome you into that energy and into that awareness and awakening. I'm Reverend Marla Mason. I am your minister and spiritual leader. And it's a blessing to me to do that. But you know what? I don't do it alone. So there are some folks here who are helping us. Today, especially, I want to welcome our board host is Susan Neidig. Thank you, Susan, for serving today. Our meditation facilitator this morning was Jan Kalin. Great work, Jan. Thank you very much for that beautiful time of quiet and contemplation. We do not have prayer chaplains on duty today because we won't have a prayer circle after service today. We have our Q&A. I invite you into that. It's your opportunity to ask questions about our teaching, about our center, about me, anything that is on your mind about Unity of Bellevue. We do that the first Sunday of every month. So please join us for that today. I also want to tell you that Becca is our guest artist as well as our music director today. We're so grateful to have you. Thank you so much. She's going to lay down some sounds that support us in that spiritual awakening. And I'm really grateful to have you with us, Becca. Let's see. Let's check in for a moment. I want to take a moment to acknowledge that the president of our country is very ill and in the hospital. And I feel like it's really important for us to move into a consciousness of healing for this person. And I know that, you know, there's a lot of feeling and appearance of division around, you know, the upcoming election and leadership in our country right now. But I want to remind us all that, you know, we're people first, we're spiritual beings first, and that we are calling into our life experience the people and the experiences that most grow us and awaken us to the spiritual truth of our being. And so we are not living in these times by accident, is my point, that there is something here for all of us. So regardless of your beliefs or your political affiliations, join me in a consciousness of healing, a consciousness of wholeness for all of the leadership in our country. Join me in an awareness that there's a healing spirit that is moving through all of us that would heal any seeming physical illness, that would heal any seeming appearance of division or divisiveness. Join me in the consciousness of wholeness for our president and for all of our political leaders. I give thanks for the infinite spirit that has called us together at this time to be reminded of our oneness and our unity. That is our name. We move in unity with the spirit of all life. And so we know that that one spirit is a spirit of healing. It is a spirit of awakening, a spirit of awareness. And we simply allow that awakening and that awareness to happen right where we are. And to happen in the bodies and minds and hearts of all people. I give thanks for it, I surrender it, and I let it be, and so it is. Amen. Our theme this month, we're right in the midst of practicing our theme this month already. The theme is community and connection. And what we're going to do is see if we can't move into a kinder and a deeper and a more honest understanding of ourselves and our connection to all things. And as we do that, we become vehicles of upliftment, if you will, for all people. For we know that the one spirit, we're connected to all people. And the one spirit is the divine connection, not just with spirit, but with all beings in spirit. And so we enliven that greater awareness of our unity this month with our theme, community and connection. Our guest speaker today is Reverend Masando Hiraoka. He is going to deepen us in that consciousness with his message, just like me. Reverend Masando is actually one of my faves. Just so you know, I'll let you know that he has a monthly column in Science of Mind magazine called The Art of Being Human, and it's a powerful read. I encourage you to check that out. He also is currently the assistant minister at the Mile High Church in Lakewood, Colorado, and he's leader of the Social Uplift Ministry there, which is all about interfaith engagement, environmental responsibility, inclusion, human dignity, and so that's his work and that's his calling, and I am so grateful to welcome him into that energy and love, the energy and love that unity is today. And so to just begin to lay down the soundtrack for us, I'm going to turn it over to Becca Palm, who's going to anchor us with music.
Thank you, Marla. Yes, I agree. We're one big family. I want to start us off this morning with a sing-along. Your part, should you choose to join, is na 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 na. We are one big family. It goes on and on. I've got a little bass and drum, something to make it fun for us this morning. I may not be able to hear you, but I'll be able to feel you. Join me, please. Who will we be when we all see we are one big family, peaceful and free? Can you see? I am you and you are me. Na 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 na. Here's your part. Na 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 na. We are one big family. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. We are one big family. Our destination is no separation. We are one big family. We give up our fear, we know it's all here. We are one big family. Here's your part. Na 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 na, na 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 na. We are one big family. Na 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 na, na 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 na. We are one big family. All right, here we go. Na 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 na, na 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 na. We are one big family. Na 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 na, na 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 na. We are one big family. Na 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 na, na 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 na. We are one big family. Na 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 na, na 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 na. We are one big family. Who will we be? When we can see we are one big family. Give up our fear, we know it's all here. We are one big family. Our destination is no separation. We are one big family. Peaceful and free. Can you see? I am you and you are me. Na 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 na, na 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 na. We are one big family. Sounds great, you guys.
One big family. Family in mind, family in body, family in spirit. For we recognize and know and align with the spiritual truth that there is only one life. That life is God's life. That life is the infinite presence, the infinite spirit from which all things spring, to which all things return. And so we are brothers and sisters in mind, aunts and uncles and parents and grandparents and grandchildren in consciousness. For there is only one thing happening, and we say yes to the one thing expressing perfectly and divinely as us. And so it's in this consciousness of family, of unity, of oneness, of infinite connection that I declare a blessing on this sacred and holy service this morning. I know that we are here by divine appointment, that we have been called together to deepen and grow, to open our hearts, to simply say yes to the idea that we are a community and that we are infinitely and oh so intimately connected. In this consciousness of connection, of oneness, of allness, we simply say yes to all that is about to unfold and know that it and we are divinely blessed. I give thanks for it all and I simply allow it to unfold. And so it is. Amen. All right, I am going to read through our affirmation one time and then I will invite you to join me. Here's how it goes. Open your heart, open your mind, open your awareness to these words. At the center of my being lies the life-giving presence of the infinite. I effortlessly connect with this presence as I joyfully embrace the essence of God in everyone and everything. And so it is. And so please join me as we read through this a second time. Speak your word, speak your affirmative word aloud and with conviction. At the center of my being lies the life-giving presence of the infinite. I effortlessly connect with this presence as I joyfully embrace the essence of God in everyone and everything. And so it is. So it is.
I know this kind-hearted man. We've learned different prayers, we eat different foods, but still we're friends. His accent and brown-colored skin can make folks afraid even though they don't know him. Can we ever look past the surface and know each other and come together in a world where everyone belongs, everyone's a gift when we lift up each other and learn from one another. Keep in mind where we've come from. It's simple to see through the complexity, the beauty in everyone. Sometimes they want to hold hands, say their marriage vows, have a family and settle down. Will we embrace all their plans when her wife appears or her husband wears the wedding gown? Can we ever look past the surface and know each other and come together in a world where everyone belongs,
Ooh, how lucky are you all to have Becca Palm as your music director? She makes me emotional every time I come visit you. Also, thank you, Becca, for sharing your gift. You always just nail the tone of of every space that I've been able to walk into with you all. So thanks so much. It is so good to be back with you all. I think this is time number 3 for me now. Is it 4? I don't know. I've lost track, which is a good thing because it means that I've been with you all enough to feel like I'm getting to be a part of your community a little bit. It's amazing to see some familiar faces, and you all know how much I love the Pacific Northwest, and it's just so fun to think about being able to connect with you in this way. One of the cool things about this time in which we're living in, this global pandemic time, which is an incredibly weird time, a challenging time, but also a revolutionary time, a deeply contemplative time, is the fact that like we can all be together from any distance. Like it still amazes me that I am here in my basement speaking to you all, some of whom might still be in your PJs, so you got your cameras off still, or eating breakfast and sipping coffee. Like I'm not gonna lie, I still miss being able to congregate and see each other. And God, do I wish I could be there in person in the beautiful Pacific Northwest in Bellevue, Seattle, Washington. And at the same time, right, I love being able to do this live, and thinking about all you folks in the Pacific Northwest and thinking about all the other folks that are connecting with us from all around the country. So just so grateful to be here, grateful for this technology as imperfect as it is, grateful to be alive here together here in 2020. So yeah, this week was interesting. Dare I say, like classic 2020, like vintage 2020 even. I was doing, I'm on the internet like too much these days. But I was going on the Merriam-Webster website, the dictionary website, as I was like looking up words. Ministers, we always are on there looking for words and etymology of words. It's just something we do. And I found that there was one word that was trending on Friday, this past Friday, October 2nd. What do you think that word was? Does anybody have any guesses? Feel free to type it into the chat, or if you're watching on Facebook, type it in there. What do you think was the most search word on the Merriam-Webster dictionary website? Karma came up. That has a little bit of something to do with it. It's a word that I wasn't familiar with. It's a word that I had to learn how to pronounce. Turns out the word was Schadenfreude. Schadenfreude. Lookups of this word spiked 30,500% on Friday. And according to the Merriam-Webster website, Schadenfreude was their top lookup on October 2nd, this Friday, by a very considerable margin, following President Trump's announcement that he and the First Lady had tested positive for COVID-19. On the website, they had a USA Today headline that was like an example of this word, or using it in a sense, that said, President Donald Trump's coronavirus infection draws both international sympathy and a degree of Schadenfreude. So, what does Schadenfreude mean? Schadenfreude is defined as enjoyment obtained from the troubles of others. The English word was borrowed from German in the middle of the 19th century. In German, it comes from Schaden, meaning damage, and Freude, meaning joy. Enjoyment obtained from the trouble of others. You may have all seen a little Schadenfreude flying around, maybe experienced a little bit of it within yourself. And honestly, truly, I think this is normal. like not something we need to jump to judging ourselves or others about. Listen, we all have our own reactions. And I think we all saw on Friday that we're a bunch of reactions and reactions to reactions and reactions to the reactions of others. Like I just witnessed this happening all over the place in myself and in others as well. And I know my mind can justify having this feeling of schadenfreude, like of taking delight in the trouble of others, especially when it's around someone who has done me wrong or someone who I've witnessed do real harm to others. Like there's a part of me, granted, it's not like the most enlightened or best part of me, that engages with this feeling, that actually falls into this feeling of deriving some sense of joy or relief out of the troubles of others. Like, listen, I'm not proud of this. But I actually think we all experience this more than we'd like to admit. Yes, like even us spiritual folk. Like, how many of you have watched a movie or TV series with a really bad villain? Like a villain that has done horrific things, acted in awful ways, like has been merciless at almost every level. Like I'm thinking of characters like Lord Voldemort from Harry Potter. Any Harry Potter fans in the house? This is the best time to rewatch Harry Potter, by the way, in the fall. Or I don't know, Joffrey from Game of Thrones. Um, any Game of Thrones fans in the house? Like I'm not gonna lie, when those villains finally met their maker, like there was a part of me that reveled in it. Like okay, true confessional here, and like apologies for the spoiler alert. If you have not watched Game of Thrones, you can close your ears for a second. But when Joffrey dies, like after the initial shock, like this was one of like the best villains I think I've ever had the experience of in any show. Like when that finally went down, you can, like my wife can attest to this, like I cheered out loud. I cheered out loud and I said a bunch of cuss words that aren't appropriate for a Sunday talk, and I was pumping my fist. I'm sure your imagination can fill in the blanks here. But I also realized that feeling like didn't last very long. Like it was not long after that initial feeling of Schadenfreude that I began to realize, like, God, how much respect I had for the powerful acting of those portraying those villains. Began to think of the backstories and to have compassion for for the villains and the burden that they carried and their constant need for revenge or for power. Like I felt their humanness, and that Schadenfreude quickly wore off. So, like, please know I'm by no means saying that a little Schadenfreude is purely bad or evil from a moral standpoint. And I'm certainly not seeking to bring some shame or some political or politicized way if you had a momentary experience of this, as I've also like really seen that flying around my social media platforms as well. I just find it to be an incredibly interesting thing that this word was trending this week and all the battles I've seen kind of ensue around it, right? Especially as we all are starting this month in this series that is rooted in love and compassion, in community and connection. Reverend Marla asked me to kick off this series and gave a description to me. Here it is. She said, as we come into a deeper, kinder, and more honest understanding of ourselves and our connection to all things, we can attune to that part of us that is pure spirit. We can align more and more fully with this divine connection with others and the divine in them, enlivening a greater awareness of our unity. And this is the theme for this month, right? Community and connection. And the fact there are hundreds of other New Thought, mostly centers for spiritual living churches that are also engaging in these topics this month, makes me just think how perfect it is that in this election season, in our spiritual life, in our spiritual communities, in a time when we are probably most feeling divided, that our spiritual home is asking us to focus on the ways that we are connected, right? So the fact that Schadenfreude was trending this Friday, and the fact that we are in the midst of an already ugly and ferocious election season, I just feel so grateful to be called into a deeper place within, right? a place where like I'm being asked to find, to mine sometimes, to discover, to uncover, yes, even push through any resistance I might have, to really understanding and having empathy and compassion and being in a place where we are all so deeply connected, remembering, really like truly remembering how we are all part of one community. So as we dive into this month of connection, for me, it's revealing to discover all the ways that I can justify the connection I feel, of all the ways I witness within myself and others the same tendency. And yes, of even taking delight in the misfortune of those who may have wounded us or have done harm to another. I don't think this is because we're all villains, but because we, myself included, like easily get confused about like what this thing called justice really is. That delight comes from Schadenfreude, like isn't about justice or karma or any of that at all, right? Like I think we can sometimes allow spirituality to creep into some weird places in our mind, to even to utilize like justify things that spirituality has no business justifying. It's easy to think that when someone we believe needs to be held accountable for their bad behavior or injustice they've perpetuated or suffering or worse, right? Like that somehow justice or accountability is being served, or somehow the universe is getting back at them, or somehow karma finally caught back up to them. I think this way of understanding justice has much more to do with retribution, of revenge, than it does with restoration, right? It's easy to fault to retribution though, isn't it? Especially when someone has really hurt us. I know I have fallen into that place sometimes. Like I know of that feeling of wanting so bad to cause pain to someone that has caused me pain, to seek revenge on someone who has done me wrong, or to take the sort of passive aggressive approach of just hoping and praying the universe takes care of someone, right, who has caused me pain or has caused suffering to others. Yeah, what I've realized, right, like I hope what we all can continue to realize is that this approach, this seeking of retribution or revenge, like it doesn't actually heal anything. Nothing is restored. Justice is not served. Nothing is healed. Like nothing actually changes within. Restorative justice, right? Restorative justice centers on the accountability, actions that work towards repair and transformation. Like I love this idea of repairing, of restoring, of healing as an approach to justice. Like this means that whoever created the offense, whether large or small, must be held accountable and face the consequences. Yet the aim is not punishment. Like the aim is to repair and to transform, to heal and to be healed, to heal the systems that are unjust and move forward in a healthier way for everyone. Like I want to be clear. This approach is not about leniency or bypassing or minimizing the wrongdoing. It asks for a full encounter, actually, with the wrongs perpetuated and follow through on the consequences. Whether that means an apology, a fine, jail time, whatever that is, right? Like what I observe in myself and I observe in others right now is that when we are lingering in a state of revenge, when we're lingering in a state of retribution, when we're lingering in the state of Schadenfreude, when we are ruminating in a practice that like derives pleasure from the suffering in others, it is difficult to have clarity about our own healing. It's difficult to have clarity about what steps are ours to take to change and transform and create a world that works for everyone. It makes it impossible for the healing process to actually begin. We can get so caught in the pleasure of seeing someone believe needs accountability that we forget that their suffering like is just that. Like it's human suffering. The suffering is not justice. The suffering is not the courageous conversation or decision that needs to happen to help make the whole situation resolve in a healthy way, right? When we delight in the suffering of others, Not only are we numbing out our own empathy, but we are also giving up, like we're sacrificing our wisdom, our agency, our oneness. It's easy to think, well, it looks like karma finally got to them. I don't have to have the brave conversation with this person that hurt me because the universe decided to punish them. I don't actually have to do the brave and beautiful work of healing myself. I don't have to do the work of creating boundaries with this person so that I can love myself and love them at the same time, for boundaries allow for that. When we've been hurt by another, boundaries are often what need to be put into place in order for healing to begin, right? When we don't do this work, we don't take that on in this like brave and beautiful way, right? We can instead simply transfer our own pain, project our own pain onto someone else. When I've done this, like when I've looked for retribution or revenge, when I've engaged in schadenfreude and hoped ill upon another, when I realize what it's actually done is it's kept my wound open. I tear away any healing that has already occurred as well. So these kinds of actions don't build new bridges or systems in our personal or collective lives. Like when we are in that space of retribution, we are not really creating anything new. We don't give ourselves the opportunity to take part in the beauty and brilliance that is the creative process. As people who believe that spirit is equally alive in all people, the belief that, if we're being honest, is hard to believe all the time. It is like the most worthy belief, like that feels so deeply like the truest truth when we really connect with ourselves and with that spirit within. We come to this realization that like this, if we are really coming into contact with the living spirit that lives within me, that same living spirit must also live in everyone else. And I realize that's hard to come by, but it's the truest truth. It's the truth that I feel that, especially in this next month leading up to this election, that we must lean into. We must allow to come to the forefront of our consciousness. And if we can't get there, we must lean into whatever is stopping us from that realization long enough so that that truth can be more deeply revealed, right? When we stand for justice and accountability, bringing forth our emotions and lay down, like truly let go of the need for retribution, true transformation can take place. Like, I know this is a big order. I can't always intellectually get myself out of a place of deriving pleasure from someone else's pain, especially if that person has caused me pain. But I find that there's a practice that helps me get into a deeper place of clarity and compassion. It's the just like me practice. Has anyone done this before? I'm actually going to lead us through this practice as we close out our talk. And this practice is not about bypassing discomfort, right? It's not about getting to a place where we can ignore the world or ignore the injustices or ignore our pain. But rather, it helps us simply activate empathy so that we can be fiercely and lovingly committed to this oneness and this unity, to the recognition that the living spirit resides and abides in me and in all things. I feel like it's what we're being called to do in this time. To find this connection, even with people we don't want to be connected to. Like, this is where our awakening begins. This is where our healing begins. This is where our transformation takes place. This is how we begin to create the world where love is at the center, where community is at the circumference, holding us all, where the divine gets to live and move and have its being more freely and more effortlessly. So it's just like me practice, right? It's a Buddhist practice. And sometimes I find that Buddhism has been this beautiful balance in my spiritual new thought life. Like it's provided me with the path that sometimes I can access, like helps me access something that I can't when I'm only trying to find how we're all spirit, how we're all spiritual, right? Like it can be difficult to get there sometimes, like especially like when I'm not feeling so godlike myself, when I'm not feeling so spirit-like myself. Um, or when I'm really unable to, for whatever reason, right, see that God in another. But this Buddhist practice has helped me to realize that we are one not only in our divine nature, not only because we are all emanations of the divine, but we are also one in our humanity, in our deep humanness, right? That we are one in our messiness, we are one in our faults and our fears, and all of the ways that we trip up in the world, all of the ways that we suffer, right? It was this practice that really helped me understand more deeply the Four Noble Truths, right? Which is like sort of the basis foundation of Buddhism. The first of which is like life is suffering. These noble truths are described by Bruce Reitherman, a Buddhist practitioner, as the truth of suffering, the truth of the cause of suffering, the truth of the end of suffering, and the truth of the path that leads to the end of suffering. Right? Like more simply put, like suffering exists, it has a cause, it has an end, and it has a cause to bring about its end, right? So what the first noble truth is really admitting, like I think it's just calling out really, is that this being human thing, like we experience discomfort, we experience fear, we experience sadness, we experience grief, we experience anger, we experience wanting retribution. And that all of those experiences, if we allow those things to be the things that are like that run amok in our lives, that can cause us suffering, right? But the next of the Four Noble Truths also asks us to talk about the cause, the fact that suffering can cease, that it can end, and then it gives us practices to do so. So this Just Like Me practice is one of those practices. So as we close today, I'd love to guide us through this practice together. And you can look this up on the internet. There's a few different versions of it. I think they're all good. But I'm going to lead us through this practice and end in some prayer. So I invite us just for a few minutes here, right? Just to come to a place of centeredness within ourselves as we engage in the spiritual practice together. Come to a deeper awareness of our breath and how that breath creates this infinite space within our being that has room for it all, that doesn't need to resist or push away, that doesn't need to cling, that just allows space for everything that is arising within us and around us to simply be. And so we're going to do this practice 3 times with 3 different people. And so the first person, I'd like you just to imagine in your mind and sitting in front of you is someone you love, someone who you deeply love. And as you gaze at them, as you have their image in your mind, as you just picture them looking back at you in your mind's eye, say these words to yourself. Just like me, this person is seeking some happiness for their life. Just like me, they are trying to avoid suffering. Just like me, this person has known sadness, loneliness, and despair. Just like me, this person is pure spirit. And just like me, this person is learning about life. And as you allow those words to sink in, as you allow transformation beginning to happen, as you feel a deeper connection and the building of empathy that can occur during this practice. Feel that transformation happen, and as you feel that transformation, just allow that person's image to gently fade away in your mind's eye. Now in its place, I'd like you to think about someone you have put on a pedestal above you. Someone who you may see as like this holier than holy person, this someone who you may look up to, someone who you believe to be maybe an enlightened being, someone that is just all the way up there, you know? And as you gaze at this person that you admire, this person that you may have put on a pedestal, as you gaze at them, simply say these words: just like me, this person is seeking some happiness for their life. Just like me, they are trying to avoid suffering. Just like me, this person has known sadness, loneliness, and despair. Just like me, this person is pure spirit. And just like me, this person is learning about life. And again, like if any breakthroughs have happened, if any opening has happened, if any softening has happened, just take notice of those. Feel grateful for that. Feel the empathy and compassion that has been fully engaged in your being. Take a deep breath and allow that person to fade in your mind's eye. And lastly, as our heart has already been warmed up a little bit, I invite you to bring to mind someone that you've maybe had a harder time loving, right? Like maybe if the wound is still fresh, don't bring up that person, but maybe someone that just annoys you. Maybe someone you've just, for whatever reason, have had some schadenfreude around. Just someone who it's a little harder with, right? Whoever that is, just gently let them safe passage in your mind's eye. And again, if it's still kind of fresh and still kind of like a wound, maybe not that person, but maybe somebody else. As you find that, as you take a deep breath again, allow that person just to be gently sitting in front of you, staring back at you, as vulnerable as ever. As you gaze at them, simply say these words: just like me, this person is seeking some happiness for their life. Just like me, they are trying to avoid suffering. Just like me, this person has known sadness, loneliness, and despair. Just like me, this person is seeking to fulfill their needs. Just like me, this person is pure spirit. Just like me, they are learning about life. And so again, let's just take a deep breath. And as you feel any softening of some edges you may have been feeling as you've engaged in this empathy practice, as you feel any even slight transformation that has happened, just simply allow this person to fade from your mind's eye. And so as we stay in this space, right, as we stay in this contemplative space, as I close us in prayer, when we come to know in this moment, as we are all connecting, how beautiful it is to engage in spiritual practice together. And as I know that as we are all in our own practice, we are all doing this practice together. And the beautiful thing about spiritual practice is it gets amplified when we are in spiritual practice together. So how good it is to be in spiritual community. How good it is to be here, right exactly where we are, wherever we are, however we are, how good it is to simply be here now together. And as we feel into that, we feel into the truest truth of who we are. We feel into that pure spirit of our being. And it is through that realization, through the understanding of that identity of that pure spirit, that we come to know that same truth for each and every person here, for each and every person on the planet, for each and every being and sentient being, how good it is to not only connect and feel that inextricable connection with the living spirit, with the divine aspect of our being, but through that, the inextricable connection with each and every person on the planet, how good it is to know that at the center of our being is a place of refuge, at the center of our being is a place of healing, at the center of who we are is that living spirit of the divine itself that is pure love, pure joy, pure light. And so what I know for each and every one of us as we go forth through this time is that we allow this transformation to take place within us so that we can be greater beacons and beings of light in the world, a world that is so seeking and needing that light. And so I am so grateful for each and every person here, for the beings of light that you are. And I know as we go forth from with our own healing, with our own empathy, that the entire world feels it, the entire world is lit up. And that the world that we seek to create together is coming into being right now. I affirm and I claim that, and I give gratitude for all of the ways in which that shows up in our relationships, in ourselves, in our workplaces, in every place that we inhabit. I am grateful for the healing that is happening now. And so with that, I know we go forth from this place knowing that we are beacons of the divine, that we are vessels for spirit, that this particular time in which we are living, we have all signed up to be here. So how good it is to be here together. And so we just go forth with joy, with love, with light, with healing, with empathy, and with this great experience of our connection. And so with that, we just let it be. We let it become, and we let it be so. And so it is.
And so it is. Thank you, Reverend Masando. My heart and mind are always deeply moved by your words. I'm so grateful to be here in community with you. Thank you so much for sharing with us today. Will you all join me? If you know it. Use me, oh God, I stand for you. Here I'll abide as you show me all that I must do. I used to think that just to show me all that I must do. Thank you.
Thank you, Becca. Thank you. I should be prepared by now to get emotional when you sing, but sometimes. Welcome everyone this morning. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Susan Neidig. I'm honored to be the president of the board here at Unity of Bellevue. Before we get to the offering affirmation, I would like to, I want to take a few moments to honor and express gratitude for the presence and service of Ken Patterson on the board. Ken, hi Ken. Ken has made the choice to leave the service of the board to focus his time and energy on his family. And the board lovingly supports that choice, Ken. But we wanted to take this time to express our gratitude and to let the rest of the community express their gratitude to you for your service. While I'm giving kind of the logistics and particulars, I left something on your front step. And if you would just, wow, you picked that up very easily. I sent him a text. I said, don't shake it. Don't turn it on its side. So as I speak, you can listen and you can open the box so we don't kind of drag this time out. But I do want to make sure that we honor you, and we honor you with a few gifts that are in the box. Ken joined the board in 2018, the spring of 2018. He came on as a member at large. And then when Allison had to leave the board because she became a full-time staff person at the church, he took her place. Yes, he took her place as the secretary, which was a real gift to the board that he stepped up and did that. Ken brought with him, when he started serving the board, he brought with him a being, a presence, a consciousness, and what several people called, oh, he turned it on its side. What several people called a quiet wisdom. When Ken would speak, oh yes. When Ken would speak, it wasn't very often, but when it was, he spoke with such wisdom. He brought such integrity to the board, such love. And his presence on the board actually brought all of the other board members closer together. He helped support us in developing our relationship. He started a gratitude practice. He suggested that we start a gratitude practice, which has lived on since he left the board a month or so ago. Those are messages from the board members. We want you to hold those in your heart, Ken. So I'd like all of you to join me in blessing Ken. Ken, we love you. We see you as a fellow child of God. We honor you. We are so grateful for you. We know you are blessed with wholeness and peace and ease as you share all these blessings with your family and everyone you come in contact with. Thank you so much for your service. We love you. Thank you, Ken. So now we need to move on, sorry. We need to move on to the offering affirmation. This is a time in our service when we give of our financial gifts. We give of our gifts to that which supports our spiritual journey, our spiritual growth. Giving is a spiritual practice that we engage in. And when we think about the flow of abundance as we give and receive, I'd like you to hold that consciousness as we repeat our affirmation together. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is. Amen.
And so it is with a grateful heart that I declare a blessing on these gifts and consecrate them to the good use of this center, to the good use of transforming lives, of making the world a better place, of lifting and inspiring all those who would say yes to a greater awareness of spirit. I give thanks for the gift and the giver, and I call it good. And so it is. Amen.
Hi, everyone. My name is Monica McDowell Elvig. I am your center administrator, and we are so glad that you are with us. If you are visiting with us for the first time, we open our hearts to you. We hold you in compassion, in love, in empathy, no matter where you are at in life today. And we want to stay in connection with you. And the best way to do that during this time is via our e-newsletter. All of our events are online, and so that is the best way we have to communicate what is going on in the life of this vibrant community. And the best way to do that is to go to our website, unityofbellevue.org, and at the bottom of every page is a sign-up form for that newsletter. When you sign up for that newsletter, I will see your email and I will follow up and see if you would like me to mail you a welcome packet that has some free gifts in it for you so that you can find out more about us and what we believe and what we practice. So please join us online for all of our events. And the weekly e-newsletter comes out once a week, Thursday mornings. And here are some of our online events this week. Tomorrow night, Sisters in Spirit is back. Woo! Reverend Marla will be leading the women at 6:30 online, the Spiritual Woman's Voter's Guide, which sounds awesome. What does it mean to vote our values? How do we leverage this experience to take us more deeply into a mindset of peace, love, and faith? How can we use our vote to empower us? So if you are a woman or a woman identified, you are welcome. The Zoom link is on our website. Click on the little button at the top of the page that says Sunday and Online Gatherings, or it's unityofbellevue.org/launch for all of our online groups. Wednesday, we have our Community Connect, 1 o'clock. That's when we informally connect in with Reverend Marla and each other to see how we're doing, to check in with each other, to help us stay focused during this pandemic on what matters, our spiritual principles and our spiritual practices. Also this Saturday online, the men's breakfast group is meeting. The Zoom link is also on our website. They meet at 8:30 to 10 for discussion and support. So join the men for that. This is also the last opportunity you have to join our online fall classes with Reverend Marla. There's Practical Spirituality on Tuesday afternoons and East Meets West on Wednesday evening. If you missed the first week, that's okay. Just check in with Reverend Marla, but you still have the opportunity to sign up. The sign up is on our newsletter. It's also on our website under events. Our prayer chaplains are eager and able and willing to pray with you and for you. And we will not have a virtual prayer circle after service. That will start again next Sunday because we have Q&A Sunday following service. But our prayer chaplains, if you have a prayer request, you can go to our website, unityofbellevue.org/prayer, and fill out the prayer request form, or you can email them directly, prayerchaplains@unityofbellevue.org. And if you would like one of them to call you and either to pray with you or even just to talk with you, please put that in your message and one of them will reach out. Book of the month is More Together Than Alone by Mark Nepo. This is an awesome book. If you purchase this through our website under events, it's a way for you to support our center, to support our bookstore, and also a way for us to be of one mind, together during this time where we're all reading and contemplating the same material. So if you're interested in that, for $20, I'll ship this out to you. So find that on our website or on the e-newsletter link as well. Then I just want to emphasize that you are getting something special in the mail if you have not already, and that is an invitation to our Love, Grow, Serve online stewardship launch party. That is happening, save the date, Sunday, October 18th, immediately following service. We have a party for you, and there's no Seahawks game, so you don't have to worry about missing that. And you will have all the information in the mail. We need you to RSVP, though, if you want us to mail this box to you this week. We need that RSVP by this Thursday so that we can put it in the mail to you. Otherwise, we are inviting you to a parade pickup where you can drive through our parking lot on October 15th between 4 and 6 p.m. and you can pick up your party box. But no opening. It's a surprise. No peeking. We're going to open it together 11:30 on Sunday, October 18th. So look for this. If you haven't gotten it in the mail, it should be coming. We're blessing the U.S. Postal Service that it's coming to you soon. It was sent out on Thursday. So look for Love, Grow, Serve. It'll be very fun. And I believe that is everything. Reverend Marla, back to you.
Beautiful. Thank you, Monica. And I just want to say a word of gratitude for Monica. She is our kind of tech person, producer. She is our announcer person. And frankly, she keeps me going on the straight and narrow. So really super grateful for you this morning, Monica. As we prepare to close, I want to invite you again to just stick around online right here for our monthly Q&A, your opportunity to ask questions of me, of your board of trustees, about our teaching, about our center, anything that's on your mind or heart that has to do with Unity of Bellevue, and we'll do our best to answer your questions. So as we close, let's say together with conviction the prayer for protection, which is almost with us. Here we go. Please join me. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Thanks, everybody. Have a great week. Stick around. We're going to start Q&A pretty much right now. I know we have to wrap up Q&A because I know a lot of you are waiting to get to the Seahawks game, right? All right.
Not gonna kick it to this pain in my heart. Not gonna listen to lies of self-hatred. Not gonna cry over yesterday's loss. Slip into darkness and wallow in pain. I've been there and done that, and I will not again. Instead, I'm gonna rise up with spirit. I'm gonna rise up, remembering